Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa alihi wa azwajihi wa zurriyatihi ajma'in. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ahu wa arina al-batila batila warzuqna ijtinabah. Allahumma arina haqa'iq al-ashya'i kama hiya. Rabbana zidna ilman wa amalan wa hilman wa ikhlasan. Rabbana ya Mawlana unsur akhwanana al-muslimina fi Filastin wa Gaza wa fi سائر العالم. اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعلى عدوهم. اللهم انصرهم نصرا مبينا إنك على كل شيء قدير. وصلي وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وآله وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين. Okay. So we had I think we are starting from here today, but let's read a bit from back a bit. Unlike some globalization theorists and political sciences who call into question the future durability of the state, I don't think he refers any globalization theorists in his footnotes, but anyway, we know who they might be. Durability of the state. Modern Islamist thinkers and scholars take the modern state for granted. We looked at it in detail in which way taking the state for granted is legitimate and correct, and in what sense it might be illegitimate or incorrect. In effect, a timeless phenomenon. This being partly, and he realizes that to a certain partly a reflection of the present reality, in which they must confront what seem to them to be indestructible and powerful machine on a daily basis. What do you mean? What seems to them? It is. And it's true that the Muslims, what Muslims confront on a daily basis are Muslim states, which are powerful, but in reality not powerful in themselves as such, but powerful because they are supported by and entrenched in modern neo-imperialism or neo-colonialism. So they are client states in a sense. So they are in that sense they are Janus-faced. So in that sense they are Janus-faced in the sense that they are weak. They might be very weak if they had to defend themselves alone. For example, as Shah had to do once he lost American support, or even despite American support. What seemed to be an invincible machine, came down as a stack of cards. So, on the other hand, to the extent that they are entrenched in the global imperialist system, they are strong. But what is really strong is the actual modern Western states like America, like Britain and France and Australia, and those states. Those were the states we are ultimately faced with, in a sense. If you want to try, if you're trying to make a revolution in Pakistan, for example, overthrow the colonial state there and build a new state, then you will be surrounded by all these. As has happened with Iran, it has been surrounded by the worst kind of sanctions and enmity, and the most powerful states have surrounded it since its inception. So That's the reality, actual reality. Okay, so let's start with this. Modern Muslims are therefore faced with the challenge of reconciling the two facts. First, the ontological fact of the state. I mean, what does ontological fact mean? I mean, it's just a ridiculous type of, because fact mean ontology. So ontological fact is just trying to bamboozle his audiences. So on the one hand, the fact of the state is there, it is powerful. That's the first, and it's an undeniably powerful presence, not just the state, but the actual states which are supporting those and cushioning those states, not just the Egyptian state, but the American state which is behind the Egyptian state, not just the Israeli state, but the American state which is behind the Israeli state, not just the Saudi state, but the American state which is behind that state. The deontological fact, what he mean is value question. Deontology is a specific type. Deontology means just a duty, what has to do with the duty. So he doesn't even know his terms actually. So deontology in English language, I mean, in philosophy, a particular type of ethical theories are called deontological theories, like that of Kant, which are contrasted with consequentialist theories. So deontological theories are those theories which emphasize the duty for its own sake, for example, and not for some external purpose, for example, of increasing the happiness or pleasure or reducing the pain, etc. So, but dictionary meaning of deontology is so dictionary said that it's a study of the nature of duty and obligation. Logy is the study, yeah, like biology, physiology, you know that. So that's according to, I don't know whether it's Cambridge dictionary or Oxford, I'm not sure. The study of the duty and obligation, and it is derived from, came into English from Greek, obviously. Ontology. So in Greek words, two Greek words, essentially in Greek, they mean necessity, or it is necessary, and from that word you get another word which is deont, something being necessary. So duty is necessary for its own sake, and logy is just a study. And it came to English in 19th century. And basically it's used in philosophy to describe Kantian type theories which emphasize duty for its own sake. So that's deontology. Okay, and ontology in philosophy is the study of being. That is a study of what exists. And the abstract issues related to that. So ontology just means the study of what exists, and like onto in Greek mean existence or being. In that sense, ontology, is not from deontology, is not from ontology. Okay, although onto the sense of existence is there as well, that which is necessary, for example. So ontology, when you think, it just means fact, what exists as a fact. So existence of a state as a fact is ontology, and by deontology you mean existence of normative question of whether state should exist or should not exist, or how much it should have power. So these are not factual questions, these are value questions, these are normative questions, these are evaluative questions. You don't have to be deontologist to address those questions, because deontology is just one way of addressing this question. But anyway, let's go back, and maybe he makes more sense now. So modern Muslims are therefore faced with the challenge of reconciling two. One is the fact of the state is a powerful machine and its undeniable presence, and second, the deontological fact of the necessity of bring about a form of Sharia governance. But here he is just assuming many things, a lot of things. Obviously, I have no interest in what Hallaq is saying, but we are just using it to understand the issues involved, but also to understand why the Muslim world is all rage about this guy who can't even use the terms ontology and deontology correctly. So that just tells you the state, mental state, English speaking Muslim, the level of intellectual level of English speaking Muslim audiences. I think it has been translated into Arabic, and he is a sort of a celebrity in the Arab world nowadays among Muslims, especially among religious leaning Muslims. It's a bit shocking, actually. Anyway, so he is saying the modern Muslims are faced with a challenge. That's not that important. So there's a fact of modern state. And then there's your obligation as Muslim to bring about Sharia governance. And obviously the modern state doesn't want Sharia governance, so how are you going to reconcile those facts that you are living? You don't reconcile. He is assuming that Sharia government is modern state would be there and Sharia would be imposed on that. That's what some Muslims have instrumentally done, is like cosmetically. But that's the misconception he has, that modern state will remain modern state. Or maybe he thinks that modern state is some sort of a value neutral state on which you can impose capitalism or you can impose Sharia. So what the dilemma, according to Mr. Hallaq, Muslims are in is that on the one hand, modern state is a powerful factual presence in their life, and modern state doesn't want Sharia or doesn't want it wholeheartedly, but their obligation is to live by Sharia, not only in their private life but in social and their governmental life. So that's the dilemma. So how are they going to rule by both Sharia and the modern state at the same time? And simple answer is you don't. It's not possible. What you do is deconstruct the modern state and create an Islamic state. Now, this process will happen over time. It will take centuries. It's not one day. And it requires social engineering. It requires struggle. It requires strategies. It requires mass movement. It requires social organization. It requires institutional building. So Islamic State we will try to build Islamic State not when there would be a revolution, but today at the micro level. And if we are successful one day, this state within the modern state will overwhelm this state and deconstruct it and become the factual state in its place if it is successful. Okay, so but obviously he doesn't have that conception, or he doesn't at this point anyway. He is not looking at it. So this challenge is further complicated by the recognition that the state in Muslim countries has not done much to rehabilitate any acceptable form of genuine Sharia governance. That's because they are secular states. Egypt is a secular state, a constitutional republic. Pakistan is a republic. It's not an Islamic state. And here his real bughd against Islam is obvious. Failures of Iranian revolution. I mean, only a blind person can say, or a person with the hatred or facts could say that Iranian revolution is failed. I mean, maybe it has failed as a comprehensive revolution, but that's how revolutions are. You have to, make many attempts. But obviously here he is also playing on the hatred of Iran and Iranians and Persians in the Arab world, unfortunately. The Iranian revolution hasn't failed. If it had failed, you would have been writing this. And obviously, if he thinks that Iranian revolution has failed, either you are an idealist or you believe in ideal types as existing in reality, or the other more plausible explanation is what I just said. Iranian revolution has been successful, but what we need is more Iranian revolution. So, alhamdulillah, we had another success in Afghanistan. So we have 2 states now, but we need more states. We need such revolution in Pakistan, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia. That's when we will be able to progress in our revolution, and Iranian revolution would be more successful. The success of Iranian revolution is seconded by the fact that it has existed. It has survived 50 years or so, despite the fact that it has been encircled by Darul Harb, enemy states, Muslims and non-Muslims. And America and the West has been had Iran under this encirclement and sanctions from the day one, and it has survived, and it has been successful. Despite that, it has been technologically made progress. It has made progress in IT, ICT. Educationally, Iranians have done extremely well. I mean, they are on top in the Islamic world, technologically as well. They have developed their own indigenous alternative technologies, espionage system, anti-espionage techniques, etc. Obviously, it's not ideal. There are many shortcomings. But that's how revolutions are. And obviously idealists never create any revolution. That's just criticize successful revolution based on their ideal types. And those idealists can be either sincere people, or they can be, fifth columnists like Hallaq et al. Okay, so Iran, an Islamic political and legal project, failure of the Iran as an Islamic political and legal, it hasn't failed. And it is successful, and precisely because it is successful, you are writing books like this. And other similar disappointment, amply, we had a Iranian revolution has survived for 50 years. That's a great miracle. And we had great glad tidings just recently by the success of Islamic struggle against Americans. And that was another miracle. One of the most so-called backward countries in the history of the world, with very meager material and technological sources, has clearly defeated the greatest superpower and her allies in the whole history of the human race. The most powerful country in the world, the most powerful technologically advanced countries in the world, which human beings have and the history has ever seen, were defeated by these people. Didn't have enough to eat, these ragged people. And this is one of the miracles of Islam, and miracle of the durability and the dareness of the Afghan people. So Iranian revolution had been successful by surviving for 50, and we had new glad tidings in the Afghan jihad and all that. Obviously, Hallaq is disappointed by all that. Amply testified to this proportion. Testified to this proposition. As I said, they don't. Who is he quoting? Anyways, his footnotes are strange. He says, for the definition of Islam is see Hallaq. Anyway, let's stop here and we'll continue from here, inshallah.